What made you finally realize that the abandoned brother sacrificed everything for you? I found the flash drive taped under my college diploma frame at 11:38 p.m. on a Friday, and the first file I opened was a video of my brother Nathan talking directly into the camera, dated 5 years ago. Caleb, if you're watching this, it means I'm either dead or in prison, and you finally looked in the right place. I need you to understand something. Everything I did, every choice that made you hate me, I did to protect you. Dad's going to tell you I stole from him, that I'm a junkie, a criminal, a waste of space. Don't believe him. I'm leaving you proof of everything. I'm sorry I couldn't tell you the truth. I'm sorry you had to think I abandoned you, but I couldn't let you go down with me. His face was thinner than I remembered, his eyes exhausted, and he looked scared in a way I'd never seen my fearless older brother look scared. The timestamp said August 14th, 2019, 3 days before he disappeared from our lives completely, leaving nothing but a cryptic goodbye text and a family that spent 5 years believing he'd chosen drugs and crime over us. My hands were shaking so badly I had to set my laptop on the desk. The flash drive had fallen out when I was packing up my apartment, getting ready to move to my new job across the state. I'd been taking down decorations when the frame shifted and something small and black tumbled onto the carpet. At first I thought it was a bug. Then I realized it was a USB drive, carefully secured with electrical tape to the back of the frame. My diploma from Boston University, the one Nathan had framed for me as a graduation gift 4 months before he vanished. I'd kept it on my wall for 5 years, never knowing it held anything except my achievement. Never knowing my brother had left me a message I was apparently too stupid to find for half a decade. There were 36 files on the drive. Videos, audio recordings, scanned documents, spreadsheets, and photos. I started with the video because seeing Nathan's face after 5 years of nothing hit me harder than I expected. We'd been close once. He was 6 years older, the cool brother who taught me how to throw a spiral, who helped me survive high school, who showed up to every one of my track meets even when Dad couldn't be bothered. Then, suddenly, when I was 21 and he was 27, he became someone else. Or that's what I thought. He started missing family dinners, stopped returning calls, looked strung out the few times I saw him. Dad said Nathan was using again, had relapsed after 2 years clean, was stealing to support his habit. Mom cried every night. And then one August morning, Nathan sent a group text. I have to go. Don't look for me. I'm sorry. That was it. 5 years of silence. No calls, no emails, no social media presence. He'd effectively died, except we couldn't have a funeral. I clicked on the second video file. Same setting, same tired version of Nathan, but this recording was clearly made over multiple sessions because his shirt changed colors between cuts. I don't know how to start this, so I'll just say it. Dad's been laundering money through his construction business for the past 8 years. I found out 3 years ago by accident. I was helping with the books when he had pneumonia, and I saw transactions that didn't make sense. When I asked him about it, he admitted everything. Said it started small, a favor for a friend, and snowballed. The friend is Victor Caruso, as in Caruso crime family. Dad's been cleaning money for them since 2011, and he's in deep, like $500,000 deep in debt to them, and they own him. I paused the video. Victor Caruso. I'd heard that name before, seen it in news articles about organized crime in New England. My father, Gordon Brennan, owned Brennan & Sons Construction, a mid-sized company that built commercial properties around Boston. He was a well-respected businessman, a deacon at our church, a guy who coached Little League and donated to local charities. The idea that he was involved with the mob was insane, except Nathan's face on the screen was completely serious, and he had no reason to lie in a video I was apparently never supposed to see unless something terrible happened to him. If you are enjoying this story already, please subscribe to see more stories like this. I kept watching. Nathan explained how he'd tried to convince Dad to go to the police, to cut ties with Caruso, to come clean before it was too late. Dad refused, said they'd kill him if he tried to leave, said the business would collapse, we'd lose everything, Mom would be destroyed. So Nathan made a different choice. He started documenting everything. Every transaction, every meeting, every phone call he could record. He spent 2 years building a case, gathering evidence, planning to hand it all to the FBI and put Dad in witness protection before the whole thing exploded. But then something happened that changed everything. In June 2019, Caruso's guys told Dad they needed to run a bigger operation through the business. Like, significantly bigger. $800,000 in 3 months. Dad said yes because he's terrified of them, but here's the problem, Caleb. To make it work, Dad was going to put everything in your name. The business accounts, the properties, everything. You were 21, about to graduate college, and he was planning to make you a legal partner in the company without telling you what you were really signing up for. If the feds came knocking, you'd be the one holding the bag. Not him. You. Nathan's voice cracked. He was going to use you as his shield, and when I confronted him about it, he said it was necessary, that you'd understand when you were older, that it was just temporary. I knew that was bullshit. I knew once your name was on those documents, you were done. So I made a choice. My stomach lurched. I remembered that summer. Dad had been pushing me to come work for the company after graduation, said he wanted to make me a partner, give me a real stake in the family business. He'd had papers drawn up, told me it was a graduation present, a way to set me up for life. I'd been excited, honored even. I'd been planning to sign them in September, right after a post-graduation trip to Europe that Nathan had paid for. Except Nathan disappeared in August, and everything fell apart. Dad said the partnership was off, that he couldn't trust me with responsibility if I couldn't even keep my brother from self-destructing. I'd been hurt and confused, but mostly I'd been angry at Nathan for ruining everything. The video continued. I went to the FBI in July, handed them everything I had. They were interested, very interested, but they said building a case against Caruso would take time, months, maybe a year, and they couldn't protect you in the meantime because you didn't know anything, weren't technically in danger yet. But I knew Dad was going to push those papers on you any day, and once you signed them, you'd be complicit whether you knew it or not. So I did the only thing I could think of. I became the problem that needed all of Dad's attention. I clicked to the next video. Nathan looked worse in this one, his eyes bloodshot, his face unshaven. I staged a relapse, started using again, just enough to look convincing, missed work, borrowed money I didn't pay back, made a scene at family dinner. I needed Dad to write me off completely, to see me as such a liability that he'd never consider involving me in the business again, and I needed you to hate me enough that you'd want nothing to do with me, so Dad couldn't use you to get to me or vice versa. It worked better than I expected. Dad told everyone I was using, that I'd stolen from him. Mom believed it. You believed it. And when Dad tried to get me to sign something that would implicate me in the money laundering, I refused. That's when Caruso's guys got involved directly. The next file was an audio recording. I recognized Nathan's voice, and another voice I didn't know. The second man had a thick Boston accent and a casual tone that made the threat sound even more sinister. Your old man says you're causing problems, says you know things you shouldn't know. That true, Nathan? Nathan responded, I don't know what you're talking about. The man laughed. Sure you don't. Here's the thing. Your father's useful to us. You're not. You're a loose end. Loose ends get cut off. But Mr. Caruso's a reasonable guy. You disappear, go somewhere far away, keep your mouth shut, we don't have a problem. You stay, ask questions, make trouble, we got a problem. You understand what I'm saying? Nathan's voice was steady. I understand. The man continued. Good. You got 72 hours. After that, we can't guarantee your safety. Or your baby brother's safety for that matter. Caleb, right? 21 years old, goes to BU, runs track. Nice kid. Be a shame if something happened to him because you couldn't follow simple instructions. I felt cold. They'd threatened me. 5 years ago, mobsters had threatened my life, and I'd had no idea. Nathan had known. Nathan had been trying to protect me, and I'd thought he was just a screw-up who'd abandoned his family. The next video was dated August 16th, 2019. Nathan looked like he hadn't slept in days. I'm leaving tomorrow. I gave the FBI everything I had, and they promised they'd move forward with the investigation, but it's going to take time. Months, maybe more. They offered me witness protection, but I can't take it because that would tip off Caruso that I talked, and they'd go after Dad and you and Mom immediately, so I'm disappearing on my own. I've got some money saved, a fake ID, a plan to get to Montana and work under the table until this blows over. I'm going to make it look like I ran away, like I chose drugs over family, because that's what Dad will tell everyone anyway, and it'll keep the heat off you. By the time you watch this, hopefully the FBI has done their job. Hopefully Dad's either in prison or witness protection. Hopefully Caruso's organization is dismantled. Hopefully you're safe. If none of that happened, if you're watching this and Dad's still operating the same business and you're in danger, you need to take this flash drive to the FBI. Ask for Agent Keith Bowman. He knows everything. He can protect you. I sat back from my laptop, trying to process what I'd just learned. My brother hadn't abandoned me. He'd saved me. He'd sacrificed his entire life, his reputation, his family, his future, to keep me from getting caught up in our father's criminal activity. And for 5 years, I'd hated him for it. I'd told people my brother was a deadbeat, a drug addict, someone who chose getting high over his family. I'd believed my father's lies because they were easier than questioning the man who'd raised me, who'd paid for my education, who'd been nothing but supportive and loving to me my entire life. Except Dad hadn't been loving. He'd been grooming me to be his fall guy. If Nathan hadn't intervened, I'd have signed those papers in September 2019, and my name would have been all over financial crimes I didn't commit. I'd be the one facing federal charges right now, not living in a nice apartment with a good job and a future. Nathan had seen that coming and thrown himself in front of it. I opened the document files, spreadsheets showing money transfers that didn't correspond to any legitimate construction work, photos of Dad meeting with men I didn't recognize in parking lots and restaurants, scanned contracts with shell companies, bank statements showing deposits and withdrawals in suspiciously round numbers. Nathan had built an entire case against our father, documented everything with dates and amounts and details. This wasn't speculation or paranoia. This was evidence that would hold up in court. My phone said it was 1:15 a.m. I'd been going through the flash drive for almost 2 hours, and I was only halfway through the files. I needed to talk to someone. But who? My girlfriend Riley was asleep in the bedroom, and I didn't want to wake her with something this insane. My mom wouldn't believe me. She'd written Nathan off as a lost cause years ago and refused to even say his name anymore. My father was obviously not an option. The only person who might have answers was the FBI agent Nathan had mentioned, Agent Keith Bowman. I Googled him. Special Agent Keith Bowman, assigned to the Boston field office, specializing in organized crime and financial crimes. There were several news articles mentioning him in connection to investigations into racketeering and money laundering. He was real. Nathan hadn't made him up. I found the FBI's Boston office number and saved it in my phone. I'd call first thing Monday morning. For now, I kept going through the files. There was a folder labeled After I'm Gone. Inside were letters. One addressed to me, one to Mom, one to our younger sister Jenna, who'd been only 14 when Nathan left. I opened mine first. The file was a scanned, handwritten letter, Nathan's messy script filling 3 pages. Caleb, I know you're going to hate me for this. I know you're going to think I chose drugs over family, that I'm weak, that I let you down. I need you to know that's not true. Every single choice I made was to protect you. Dad was going to destroy your life to save his own, and I couldn't let that happen. You're my little brother. You're supposed to get to have a future, a career, a family. You're supposed to be happy. I couldn't stand by and watch Dad take that away from you. So I became the problem. I became the son who failed, the addict, the disappointment. I let you think the worst of me because it was the only way to keep you safe. I'm sorry I can't explain this in person. I'm sorry I have to let you hate me. But I'd rather have you alive and hating me than dead, or in prison, because I didn't act. If you're reading this, it means something went wrong. It means either I didn't make it, or the investigation took longer than expected, and you're in danger. Please take this evidence to Agent Bowman. Let him protect you. Don't try to confront Dad yourself. Don't try to find me. Just get yourself safe. That's all I ever wanted. I love you, little brother. Even if you never believe that again, it's true. Nathan. I had to stop reading because my vision was blurring. I'd spent 5 years thinking Nathan didn't care about me, that he'd thrown away our relationship for nothing. And the entire time, he'd been protecting me from something I didn't even know existed. He'd let me think he was worthless, so I wouldn't become collateral damage in our father's criminal enterprise. The sacrifice was staggering. He'd given up everything, his reputation, his family, his identity, his entire life, for me. I wiped my eyes and kept going. There were more audio recordings, conversations between Dad and men with Italian accents discussing construction projects that were clearly code for money movement. There were photos of Dad accepting envelopes of cash. There were text messages between Dad and someone named Vic, presumably Victor Caruso, arranging meetings and discussing amounts. The evidence was overwhelming and damning. Dad wasn't just involved with organized crime. He was deeply embedded in it, had been for years, and had planned to drag me down with him. The question was, what had happened with the FBI investigation? Nathan had said it would take months, maybe a year. It had been 5 years. Either the case had fallen apart, or it was still ongoing, or something had gone wrong. I needed to find out which before I did anything else, because if the investigation had failed and Caruso's people were still active, approaching the FBI now could put me in the same danger Nathan had been trying to protect me from. I spent the rest of the night going through every file on the flash drive, taking notes, trying to build a timeline. Nathan had started gathering evidence in 2016. He'd discovered the partnership plan in June 2019. He'd gone to the FBI in July 2019. He'd been threatened in early August 2019. He'd fled on August 17, 2019. That was the last date on any of the files. After that, nothing. No updates, no additional recordings, no indication of what had happened to him or the investigation. At 6:30 a.m., Riley found me still at my desk, surrounded by notes and my laptop screen showing a frozen frame of Nathan's tired face. Babe, did you sleep at all? She looked concerned, her hair messy from sleep, wearing one of my old t-shirts. What are you doing? I didn't know how to explain, so I just said, I found something. About Nathan. About why he left. My voice sounded rough from not using it for hours. Your brother? Riley knew the basics. That I had an older brother who'd disappeared years ago. That we didn't talk about him. She sat down on the edge of my desk. What did you find? I showed her the flash drive, played her parts of the videos, showed her some of the documents. Her expression shifted from confusion to shock to anger as she pieced together what I was telling her. Your dad was going to frame you for money laundering, and Nathan took the fall instead? She looked at the frozen image of Nathan on my screen. That's insane. That's God, Caleb. That's incredibly brave and incredibly sad. I need to call the FBI on Monday. Find out what happened with the investigation. Find out if Nathan's okay. The thought that he might not be okay, that something could have happened to him in the past 5 years while I was living my comfortable life believing he was just a loser, made me feel sick. What are you going to do about your dad? Riley asked carefully. I hadn't gotten that far in my thinking. What was I going to do about Dad? Confront him? Turn him in? Pretend I didn't know? I don't know yet. First, I need to talk to the FBI. Monday morning, I called the FBI's Boston office at exactly 9 a.m. I asked for Special Agent Keith Bowman and was put on hold for 3 minutes before a deep voice came on the line. This is Bowman. He sounded busy, papers rustling in the background. Agent Bowman, My name is Caleb Brennan. My brother is Nathan Brennan. He told me to contact you if I ever needed help. I tried to keep my voice steady, professional. There was a pause. Nathan Brennan. I haven't heard that name in a while. What's this about, Mr. Brennan? I found a flash drive he left me, with evidence about my father, Gordon Brennan, and his involvement with the Caruso organization. Nathan said he gave you the same information 5 years ago, and you were investigating. Another pause, longer this time. I think we should meet in person. Are you available today? Agent Bowman's tone had shifted, become more serious. Yes, I can be there whenever you need me. I was supposed to work, but this was more important. How about 2 p.m.? I'll have you brought up to the office. Come to the main entrance on Cambridge Street. He gave me some additional instructions and hung up. I took the day off work, telling my boss I had a family emergency, which wasn't technically a lie. Riley offered to come with me, but I told her this was something I needed to do alone. At 1:45 p.m., I was standing outside the FBI's Boston field office, a large federal building in the government center area. My stomach was in knots. I'd put the flash drive in my jacket pocket, and it felt like it weighed 100 pounds. If this story keeps your interest, please subscribe to get more stories like this. Security checked my ID and made me go through a metal detector before escorting me to the 5th floor. Agent Bowman's office was at the end of a hallway, a small room with a window overlooking the street. He stood up when I entered, and I was surprised by how normal he looked. Mid-40s, graying hair, glasses, wearing a button-down shirt and khakis. He could have been anyone's dad. Mr. Brennan, thanks for coming in. He shook my hand firmly. Please, sit down. Can I get you coffee or water? Water would be great, thanks. My mouth was dry. He grabbed a bottle from a small fridge in the corner and handed it to me. So, he said, sitting down behind his desk, you found Nathan's insurance policy. I wondered if you ever would. He said he was going to hide it somewhere you'd eventually look, but it's been 5 years. I figured maybe it got lost or destroyed. It was taped to the back of my diploma frame. I just found it Friday night when I was packing to move. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket and set it on his desk. This is a copy. I kept the original. Is Nathan okay? Do you know where he is? Agent Bowman picked up the flash drive, turned it over in his fingers. That's complicated. Let me ask you some questions first. What did your father tell you about why Nathan left? That he relapsed, started using heroin again, stole money from the business, and ran off when Dad confronted him about it. That he chose drugs over family. The words tasted bitter now that I knew they were lies. And you believed that? His tone wasn't judgmental, just curious. I did. Nathan had struggled with addiction when he was younger. He'd been clean for years, but relapse is common, right? And he did start acting strange that summer. Missing family events, looking sick, borrowing money. It all fit the narrative. I took a sip of water. Now I know he was staging all of that to make Dad think he was using again so Dad wouldn't try to involve him in the money laundering operation. Agent Bowman nodded. Your brother is one of the smartest people I've ever worked with, and one of the bravest. He came to me in July 2019 with enough evidence to build a RICO case against the Caruso organization. We're talking financial records, recorded conversations, photographic evidence, witness testimony. It was a prosecutor's dream. But he wouldn't go into witness protection because he said it would endanger you and your family. He said if he disappeared officially, Caruso would know he'd talked. So he created a cover story that he was just a screw-up who ran away. Did you investigate? Did you go after my dad and Caruso? I needed to know what had happened in the 5 years since Nathan left. We did. It took time to corroborate everything Nathan gave us, to build additional evidence, to get warrants. These things move slowly when you're dealing with organized crime. But in March 2021, we arrested 14 members of the Caruso organization, including Victor Caruso himself. The case went to trial last year. Victor got 23 years. Several of his associates got similar sentences. Agent Bowman leaned back in his chair. Your father was arrested at the same time. He cooperated with the prosecution in exchange for a reduced sentence. He served 18 months in federal prison and was released 4 months ago. The floor dropped out from under me. What? My dad was in prison? That's impossible. I've seen him. He's been running the business, living in the same house. I had dinner with him 3 weeks ago. My voice was rising, getting shaky. Agent Bowman's expression shifted to confusion. You've seen Gordon Brennan in the past 4 months? In person? Yes, multiple times. He's been completely normal. He never said anything about being arrested or prison or any of this. I was gripping the arms of my chair. Are you sure you have the right Gordon Brennan? My father is Gordon James Brennan, owns Brennan and Sons Construction in Dorchester. That's him. And I'm telling you, he was arrested in March 2021, pled guilty to conspiracy to commit money laundering, and served 18 months in a federal facility in Pennsylvania. He was released in September of last year. Agent Bowman was looking at me like he was trying to figure out if I was lying or genuinely confused. He should have been on supervised release. He shouldn't have been running a business without approval from his probation officer. I don't understand. How could he be in prison for 18 months and I didn't know about it? But even as I said it, I was starting to piece things together. There'd been a period from early 2021 to late 2022 where I didn't see Dad much. He'd said he was busy with a big project, traveling a lot for work. Mom had said the same thing. I'd been focused on my new job, hadn't questioned it. And then he'd reappeared in fall 2022, and everything seemed normal. My mom, she lied to me. She knew and she lied. Your mother wasn't charged with anything. We didn't have evidence she was involved in the money laundering. But she knew about your father's arrest and conviction, yes. Agent Bowman pulled a file from his desk drawer, flipped it open. According to the records, you weren't contacted during the investigation or trial because your name never appeared in any of the financial documents. Nathan's intervention worked. You were never implicated. Does Nathan know about this? Does he know Dad went to prison and got out? I was desperate for information about my brother. Agent Bowman hesitated. Nathan and I maintained contact for the first 2 years after he left. He checked in every few months, wanted updates on the investigation. But after your father's trial concluded, Nathan stopped contacting me. The last time I heard from him was January 2023. He sent an email saying he was moving, getting a fresh start, and wouldn't be in touch anymore. He thanked me for everything and said he was glad you were safe. Do you know where he is now? My voice cracked. No, and even if I did, I'm not sure I could tell you. Nathan made it clear he wanted to stay disappeared. He said it was better for everyone if he stayed dead to his old life. Agent Bowman looked sympathetic. I'm sorry. I know that's not what you want to hear. I felt like I'd been punched. Nathan was alive, had been alive this whole time, watching from a distance as his sacrifice paid off, and I stayed safe. But he'd chosen to stay gone, to let me keep believing he'd abandoned me, because he thought it was better that way. He should know I found out the truth. He should know I don't hate him anymore. Maybe that's not what he needs. Agent Bowman's voice was gentle. Your brother built an entire new life somewhere. He has a new identity, new friends, maybe a new family. Coming back, reconnecting with you, would mean risking all of that, would mean potentially exposing himself to anyone from his old life who might still have a grudge. The Caruso organization is mostly dismantled, but not entirely. There are still people out there who remember Nathan as the guy who brought them down. So I'm just supposed to accept that my brother is gone forever? That he saved my life and I never get to thank him for it? The unfairness of it burned in my chest. I'm saying you should respect the choice he made. He wanted you to have a future. You have one. He wanted you to be safe. You are. Disrupting his new life to make yourself feel better isn't honoring his sacrifice. It's undoing it. Agent Bowman closed the file. But I'll tell you what I can do. I'll reach out through the last known contact I have for him. I'll let him know you found the flash drive, that you know the truth, and that you're grateful. If he wants to contact you, he will. If he doesn't, you need to let him go. It wasn't enough, but it was more than I'd had an hour ago. Okay, thank you. I stood up to leave, then remembered something. You said my dad should be on supervised release, that he needed approval to run a business. If he's operating without that approval, isn't that a violation? Agent Bowman's expression sharpened. It would be, yes. Why? Is there something you think I should know? I thought about my father, living in his house, running his business, lying to everyone about where he'd been for 18 months. I thought about him planning to use me as a shield for his crimes, willing to destroy my life to save his own. I thought about Nathan, somewhere far away, living under a fake name because he'd been brave enough to stop Dad before he could hurt me. The choice was obvious. I think you should check in on him. Make sure he's following the terms of his release. Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like he's doing exactly what he did before. Hiding things, manipulating people, pretending to be something he's not. I met Agent Bowman's eyes. My brother sacrificed everything to stop him once. I'm not going to let Dad dishonor that by going back to his old ways. Agent Bowman nodded slowly. I'll look into it. If he's violating the terms of his supervised release, there will be consequences. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. He stood up and walked me to the door. And Mr. Brennan, your brother would be proud of you, for finding the truth, for doing the right thing, for being the person he believed you could be. I left the FBI office in a daze. Everything I thought I knew about my family had been a lie. My father was a convicted criminal who'd served time in federal prison. My mother had lied to me for years to cover it up. And my brother, the person I'd written off as a failure, was a hero who'd given up everything to protect me from dangers I'd never even known existed. I went home and told Riley everything. She listened, holding my hand. And when I finished, she said, "What are you going to do?" I don't know. I feel like I should confront my parents. But what's the point? They'll just lie again. They've been lying for years. I was exhausted, emotionally drained. Maybe confronting them isn't about getting the truth from them. Maybe it's about them knowing that you know the truth, that they can't keep pretending with you anymore. Riley squeezed my hand. You deserve to be angry. You deserve to tell them how much they hurt you. She was right. I called my mother first. She answered on the third ring, her voice cheerful. Caleb, hi honey. What's going on? I know about Dad's arrest. I know he went to prison. I know you lied to me about it. My voice was flat, controlled. There was silence on the other end. Then, how did you find out? Does it matter? You lied to me, Mom. For years. You let me think Dad was working when he was actually in federal prison for money laundering. You let me think Nathan abandoned us when he was actually the only one who tried to protect me. How could you do that? My control was slipping, emotion creeping into my voice. We were trying to protect you, she said quietly. We didn't want you to worry. We didn't want you to be involved. By lying? By letting me believe my brother was a drug addict who didn't care about me? By hiding the fact that Dad was willing to use me as a scapegoat for his crimes? I was shouting now. That's not protection, Mom. That's manipulation. Nathan made his own choices. He could have stayed, could have worked things out with your father. Instead, he ran away and left us to clean up the mess. Her voice had that defensive edge I recognized from my childhood, the tone she used when she didn't want to admit she was wrong. He ran away to save me. Dad was going to make me a partner in the business and put all the illegal activity in my name. Nathan found out and went to the FBI to stop it. He gave up his entire life to keep me safe, and you let me think he was worthless. How can you live with that? I was crying now, angry tears running down my face. I did what I thought was best for this family. I'm sorry if you don't understand that, but I'm not going to apologize for trying to keep us together. She sounded like she believed it, like she'd convinced herself that lying was the same as protecting. We're not a family, Mom. We're strangers who happen to be related. Nathan was the only one who actually loved me enough to sacrifice something, and you drove him away. I'm done. I hung up before she could respond. Next, I called my father. He answered after one ring. Caleb, good to hear from you. Your mother said you called her upset. What's going on, son? The casual use of son made me want to throw my phone across the room. Cut the shit, Dad. I know everything. I know about the money laundering, the Caruso organization, the arrest, the prison time. I know you were planning to use me as your fall guy until Nathan stopped you. I know you've been violating your supervised release by running the business without approval. And I know you've been lying to me for 5 years about all of it. There was a long pause. When Dad spoke again, his voice was different, colder. Where did you hear these accusations? From Nathan. He left me evidence. Videos, documents, recordings, everything I needed to understand exactly what you did and what you were planning to do to me. I took it all to the FBI this morning. They were very interested to hear that you've been operating your business in violation of your release terms. I felt powerful saying it, like I was finally standing up to him after years of being manipulated. You went to the FBI? His voice was sharp now, angry. Do you have any idea what you've done? You've jeopardized everything I've worked to rebuild. This family's reputation, the business, our future. All because you believed the paranoid ramblings of a drug addict. Nathan wasn't a drug addict. He faked his relapse to protect me from you, and I'm not jeopardizing anything. You did that yourself when you decided to break the law and drag your family into it. My voice was steady, certain. You were going to let me go to prison in your place. You're not a father. You're a criminal who happened to have kids. Caleb, you're being emotional. Let's talk about this in person. I can explain everything if you just calm down and listen. He was trying to manipulate me, using the same calm, reasonable tone he'd always used to make me feel like I was overreacting. No, I'm done listening to you. I'm done pretending we're a normal family. I'm done lying for you. Agent Bowman said he'd be investigating your activities. I hope you've been following the rules, Dad, because if you haven't, you're going back to prison. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but I felt lighter, like I'd been carrying a weight I didn't know was there and finally set it down. Riley pulled me into a hug, and I let myself cry for real. For Nathan. For the family I thought I had. For the years I'd wasted hating the wrong person. 2 weeks later, Agent Bowman called me. I wanted to update you on your father's situation. We investigated his activities over the past 4 months and found he's been operating Brennan and Sons without the required approval from his probation officer. He's also been meeting with individuals connected to organized crime, another violation of his release terms. He was taken into custody yesterday and is being held pending a hearing on whether to revoke his supervised release. What does that mean? I asked. It means he'll likely go back to federal prison to serve out the remainder of his original sentence, plus additional time for the violations. We're looking at another 3 to 5 years, potentially. Agent Bowman paused. I also wanted to tell you that I did reach out to Nathan through the contact I had. The email bounced back. I tried a few other methods, but I wasn't able to locate him. I'm sorry. My heart sank. Nathan had gone so deep into his new life that even the FBI couldn't find him. He really was gone. Thanks for trying. There's one more thing, Agent Bowman said. A package arrived at our office this morning addressed to you. It was scanned and cleared by security. Inside was a letter. I haven't read it, but the return address was from Montana, and the handwriting looks similar to samples of Nathan's writing we have on file. I thought you'd want to know. Montana. Where Nathan said he was going in the video. Can you send it to me? I'll have it couriered to your address today. Should arrive by evening. Agent Bowman's voice softened. I hope it's what you're looking for, Mr. Brennan. The package arrived at 6:30 p.m. Inside was a single envelope, addressed to me in Nathan's handwriting. I opened it with shaking hands. The letter was 2 pages, handwritten on plain white paper. Caleb, Agent Bowman told me you found the flash drive. I'm sorry it took you so long to find it. I hoped you'd discover it sooner, but maybe the timing is right. Maybe you needed those 5 years to build your own life before learning the truth about our family. I want you to know I'm okay. I've been okay for a while now. I live in a small town in Montana, work as a carpenter, have a girlfriend who knows nothing about my past life. I go by a different name, have different friends, different habits. I'm not the person you remember, and that's probably for the best. The Nathan you knew was drowning, and I had to let him go to survive. I know you probably want to see me, to reconnect, to try to rebuild what we lost. I can't do that. Not because I don't love you, because I do, but because the life I've built here depends on staying dead to everyone from before. If I come back, even for a visit, I risk everything. And I risk you, too. There are still people out there who'd love to get revenge on the guy who brought down the Caruso operation. If they found out I was back in contact with my family, they might use you to get to me. I can't let that happen. So I'm asking you to let me stay gone. Not because I want to be away from you, but because keeping you safe has always been my priority. You're 26 now, have a good job, a girlfriend, a future. That's all I ever wanted for you. Don't let me be a regret or a source of pain. I made my choices knowing exactly what they'd cost me. I don't regret them. You got to have a normal life, got to avoid the consequences of Dad's mistakes. That's worth every moment I spent away from you. I'm proud of you, little brother, for everything you've accomplished, for finding the truth, for standing up to Dad, for being the kind of person who deserves the life I fought to give you. Keep being that person. Keep moving forward. Don't look back for me. If you need me, really need me, Agent Bowman knows how to reach me through a secure channel, but only use it for emergencies. Otherwise, live your life. Be happy. That's all I need from you. I love you. I always have. I always will. Stay safe, Caleb. Your brother, Nathan. I read the letter 3 times, then folded it carefully and put it back in the envelope. Riley was watching me, her expression concerned. What did he say? He said to let him go, to live my life, to be happy. I wiped my eyes. He said he's proud of me. Are you going to respect that? Let him stay gone? She knew me well enough to know I wanted to argue, to fight, to find Nathan and bring him back. I thought about Nathan's video, his tired face as he explained how he was sacrificing everything to protect me. I thought about the 5 years he'd spent living under a false identity so I could be safe. I thought about the letter, his clear request that I not disrupt the life he'd built. Yeah, I'm going to let him go. It's what he wants. It's what he needs. And after everything he's done for me, I owe him that much. 3 months later, I attended my father's sentencing hearing. He'd pled guilty to violating the terms of his supervised release and was sentenced to an additional 4 years in federal prison. My mother sat on one side of the courtroom, crying quietly. I sat on the other side, next to Riley. Dad looked at me once as they led him out, his expression a mixture of anger and betrayal. I looked back and felt nothing. That night, I wrote Nathan a letter. I didn't know if he'd ever read it, but I gave it to Agent Bowman to forward through whatever secure channel he had. I told Nathan about Dad's sentencing, about cutting contact with Mom, about moving forward with my life. I told him I understood why he had to stay gone, and that I'd respect his choice. I told him I was grateful, more grateful than I could ever express, for what he'd sacrificed. And I told him that every good thing in my life, every success, every happy moment, was because he'd been brave enough to protect me when I didn't even know I needed protection. I ended the letter with, "You said to be happy. I'm trying. I'm living the life you gave me. Thank you for loving me enough to let me hate you. Thank you for being the brother I didn't deserve but desperately needed. I hope wherever you are, whoever you are now, you're happy too. You've earned it. Your brother always, Caleb." I never got a response. I didn't expect one. But 2 weeks later, a small package arrived at my apartment. Inside was a framed photo I didn't recognize at first. It was the 2 of us, Nathan and me, at one of my high school track meets. I'm crossing the finish line, and Nathan's in the background, cheering. I look exhausted and exhilarated. He looks proud. Neither of us looks broken yet. There was no note, no return address, just the photo. I put it on my desk next to my diploma, the diploma he'd framed for me, the frame that had hidden his final gift for 5 years. And sometimes, when I'm working late or struggling with something difficult, I look at that photo and remember that somewhere out there, my brother is living under a new name, building a new life, still protecting me from a distance, still sacrificing, still loving me enough to stay away. The problem child who'd actually saved my life and asked for nothing in return except that I live it well. Thanks for watching till the end. Make sure to subscribe and like to not miss the next story.